Hello, people. Hello, hello, hello. Who is excited to see my beautiful face today? Who is ready for me? Even me, I'm ready for myself. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Conversations with PMO. Yes, welcome, 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 welcome. This is our fourth episode and I'm so loving it. I mean, the conversations have been real, they've been very inspirational, very educative, they've been deep. I mean, the conversations I've been having with these men, I really wish and hope that a lot of people would jump on this video call so that they can receive answers. I mean, it's just been amazing. Welcome to Conversations with Mo. If this is your first time joining me, we started a series this month of April. We tagged it the Help Series. Help Series. Hello, hey, my face is in the building. Hi, how are you? Super thrilled to see my lovely face. Hey, even me, I'm thrilled to see my lovely face. Oh, BC, you're welcome. Excited to see you too. Guys, let's send out reminders. You can send, a message to a friend. Today's conversation is very important. I am so hoping and praying that we're going to have more guys on this call. And I'm ready for your questions. We're ready to take your questions. We're ready to just hopefully taking a whole lot today, honestly. And I'm also super excited because of my guests. If you know my guest, or if you have been in a place where he's had to talk or speak, you would understand my excitement because I can almost picture where this conversation is going to head, as in where this conversation is heading. I mean, I can almost picture it like we are just going to dive in, dive in, dive in, dive in. I mean, all my speakers have been amazing. We had Femi Aboluwarin, we had Femi Jacobs, and we have Deji Kurumi, we had rather. And it was just such an interesting conversation, with these three people. And if you missed it, it's available on my YouTube channel. PMO Secret is also on my wall here on Facebook. And you can just dive right in, just listen to it again. So today, hi Trisha, you're welcome. You can't hear me on Facebook anymore. I'm loud and clear. I don't know what's happening. Maybe you should check your people can hear me. Please, if you can hear me, let me know. People can hear me. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you should check your phone, Trisha. Because I guess if you can't hear me, please let me know. But I didn't do anything to the volume. Oh yeah, they can hear me. Check your phone, Trisha. Oh, it's better now. Okay. All right, all right, all right. So what are we talking about today? And what informed this help series? The truth is, there has been a lot of conversations going on, uh, issues and questions, so many things around relationship, around marriages. Of late, social media went agog with so many things on abuse, and all of that. And I believe this was inspired by God so as to be able to answer some questions for women, both women and men. It's not that only the women have questions, men too have questions. And it just seems like we keep going in circles, with respect to this issue of marriage and this issue of relationship. Guys, what I came to understand of late, and I'm still unraveling it because I'm still meditating on it. There's no lie to it that the devil is on a rampage with respect to marriages. There's no there's no lie to that. I mean, it is obvious that he's doing everything that he can to fight that institution that he didn't create. I mean, God is the one who instituted marriage. But there's just been so much attack. And it got me thinking and asking myself, why all this attack? Why all this, here and there and all of that? And one of the things I'm coming to understand is that marriage is one platform that God has designed and given to we human beings to help us become better. The Bible says two are better than one. When one person is working at something, there's so much that person can do. But when the person has another person, partner, assist, help, they are able to do the job quicker and they're able to do the job, faster. They are able to just cover ground. That is what marriage is meant to be. Marriage is two people coming together, not just to have children or to fulfill our sexual needs. Marriage is a design of God to bring two people together, male and female. Let me define the two people because nowadays you have to define the two people. Bringing two people together, partnering together, working together, and as they journey on this thing called marriage, they each individually become better versions of themselves. That is what marriage is meant to deliver to you. Marriage was never designed to run on one person alone. No, that's not the intent. That's why you see that when there are issues in marriages and just one person is the one trying to fix it, one person is the one making the effort, it's just a matter of time. The person is going to get frustrated, the person is going to get tired, and the person is just going to say, I want out. Because marriage was never designed for just one person. It was designed for two people to work hand in hand, to agree. The Bible says a threefold cord is not easily broken. Of course, we know marriage is two, and then God is the third person that forms the third cord. So the devil is fighting it all. He doesn't want us to advance, to become better, to grow, to explore. I mean, there's just a whole lot that comes with marriage. It's beautiful. It's beautiful what God seeks to do with marriages. And so we have to be a step ahead of the devil. We have to be a step ahead of the devil. And that's why if you're a single person on this call, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. You are welcome on board. I'm hoping and praying that you will get the required information, knowledge, wisdom that you need to navigate this. Marriage is not hard. Marriage is not all woe. I mean, there's just so much going on, and it just seems like, hey, marriage, open your eye, this one, that one. The truth is, marriage isn't hard. Marriage isn't something that one has to be terrified to get into. With God on your side, I tell you, marriage is one of the best inventions of God. And I pray God will help us in Jesus' name. So today we're talking about one of the issues we find in marriages. A spouse feels, the other person isn't supportive enough with respect to their goals, their ambitions, their drive, their career, their business. If you're a wife on this call, sometimes you've told your husband, it's this business I want to do. And then your husband say, no, it's not it's not your type that they are looking for. Or no, you don't know how to do this. Or no, you don't have the sex skill. Or the wife says, I want to do this. It's like your husband trying to teach you how to drive. For some of us that were in that boat, you just tell yourself, please just put me in driving school, because it just feels like we're going to be going back and forth on this driving thing. So sometimes also the man is trying to offer support the way he knows how to, but the woman is saying, no, that's not how, or possibly I'm not getting it the way I want to get it. And of course, there are also the category of those who don't even know what they want to do. We're going to be trashing all of that today. So today's topic is very, very loaded, very interesting. And I'm going to bring up my speaker right about now. Right about now, just a minute. And what is the help? What's the question? What's the conversation we're having today? Help. I want to pursue my dreams, but my spouse says my role is to take care of the children. A lot of women have found themselves here, some willingly, some not willingly. Some, the husband, even as they got married, would say, resign, take care of the children. How do we balance it? Some women have totally put their dreams on hold just to manage the home, and it just seems like she's the only one doing all of that, and there's just so much pressure. We're going to be looking at that today. And so my guest, let me talk too much because he's going to be doing the talking. My own is just putting Jara and Ajasa. He's going to be doing most of the talking. He's a dear friend of mine. I think I've known Emmanuel now for close to over 15 years, possibly, yes, most likely. And he's just one person, like I said in one of my posts, that I love to listen to. I never get tired listening to Emmanuel, because every time I do listen to him, and I'm not trying to massage his ego, every time I do listen to him, I live with something. I mean, I live asking for more. I live with thoughts in my head. I live meditating. I'm telling you, I love that he says he's unreligious, and that is it. Emmanuel is totally unreligious. You cannot catch religion with him. And I also love his thinking pattern. I love the way he thinks, the way he reasons out things. He will look at it this way, look at it that way. At the end of the day, you guys are like, okay, let us come to a conclusion. So we're going to be, diving right in, and I'm going to bring him up right about now. Emmanuel Tarfa is a amazing brother, a consultant for excellence, and he's joining me right now. Emmanuel, we can't see you. We can only see your name, but we can't see you. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hi.
All welcome. All welcome. Okay, you can hear me. You can hear me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, just give me a second. You won't believe the power just went out.
Talking. Drop your questions. Emmanuel, we can't see you.
Don't worry. You won't believe
what has happened. Has
the light just
the almighty NEPA.
Exactly. Wow.
You see why you have to be the president of Nigeria.
No. In fact, let's not go there. But don't worry.
I can't hear you. Your volume is low.
Okay, can you hear me now? 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Is it better?
It's better. Are you using an earpiece or something?
No. I'm using my iPad, but I would fix it in a second.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Is it the volume too low?
Not too low. But it's better. Good evening, Priska. Good evening, everyone. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, my sister, Pastor Debola Lemoshe. Marriage is beautiful. It is beautiful. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We're just waiting a bit for
the light to come in a second.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. We understand. This is Nigeria. Yes. We understand. These things happen. This thing happened. You know, wow.
Yeah. We're going to be having is my volume okay?
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Guys, let me know. Can you guys hear Emmanuel well? Hey, up NEPA.
They actually brought it back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But I have all the backups. Don't worry.
All right. Awesome.
I have two gens to back this up. Okay. Let's try the volume again. If this is not good, I'll try this.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you. No, I can't hear you now.
Is this better?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it's better.
I can hear you. Yes.
All right. Okay, no problem.
Okay,
Thank
but
you.
it's echoing.
Okay. How bad is the echoing? Sorry about that.
No, it's not. It's not so bad. It's fine. It's fine, Emmanuel.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. My apologies.
Okay, not at all. You are welcome, Emmanuel, to Conversations with PMO.
Thank you very much.
And I am really excited, having this conversation with you.
Thank
And
you.
everything I said before you came on board, I wasn't massaging your ego. I
Thank you.
actually did mean it.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for always being a voice of reasoning. Thank you for always, saying it as it is and just contributing your own to ensure that we get it right.
Thank
I know
you.
you're very passionate about people being employable. Okay, I can hear my voice in your video.
Okay. I'm taking it was Facebook, but it's off.
Okay, all right. So today's topic, today's conversation, Emmanuel. Help. My husband is not supporting me. My spouse isn't supporting me with respect to my career, my goals, what I want to do. He believes that my role is to stay at home and take care of the children. Some men actually feel like you're not supposed to work, I'll provide. I would provide everything that you need. What do
I
you
did.
want?
I did good. I did good. But go ahead.
Emmanuel, some men feel that way, that they will provide, and that so just sit at home, prepare the food, clean the house, take care of the children. Some women don't mind, though. Honestly, there are a few women like that who don't mind. But I just want you to, start let's just start this conversation. What do you think about that? Because there are some women in that situation, and they're not finding it funny, and it's building resentment. It's building so many, some might have agreed at the beginning, maybe they were naive or young, but as they grow older, they begin to wonder, like, no, there's a lot more to my life than this. And by the time they now want to start, they look back, 10 years has gone, 15 years has gone, and then they're asking themselves, where do I start from? My mates have gone way ahead of me. My mates are already, my colleagues or, my classmates are already probably branch managers or something. Where do I start from? What do you want to say about this, Emmanuel?
All right. Thank you very much. Just to confirm, there's no echo and you can hear me loud and clear.
Okay, someone was saying the echo is distracting.
Oh wow.
Okay, maybe you should just use your earpiece.
Okay. Let me change my location. I think it's where I'm sitting, and I would fix it in a second.
Okay.
The office I am in is it's a small. I mean, it's an office, so I guess that's probably why it is not clear. Just 1 minute. I'm sincerely sorry.
No,
And
it's
part of
okay.
why I'm having these hitches, you'll find out shortly when we get into the business. I have a lot to say on that part. Just give me.
Okay. I'm eager to hear. Sorry about that, guys. We're just gonna wait for Emmanuel to get everything right and in order so that we can, just dive right in. Just dive right in. But it's really amazing, honestly. Some women would say my husband isn't supportive enough. And then there's also the category of some husbands who also don't subscribe to um, getting help. They just feel like, no, you should do it all. You should do it all. You should sort yourself, take care of everything. And once I go to work and I come back, I've gone to work, you have just been at home. I come home to meet food ready, and all of that. Okay, Emmanuel.
Okay. All right, let's try. I have to use the earpiece. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, Sincere apologies again.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so I had the first question, and the question was, what do I even think about this phenomenon of husbands that deny their wives the opportunity to work or to
Yeah.
pursue their dreams because, I mean, we'll come to the reasons, but to just say, don't work, full
Yeah.
stop, you don't need to work, I will provide for the house.
Mm.
So, the first question I asked you when you reached out to me on this was, is this even still happening in economic time in economic times like this? You know, I dove my heart for such men if they have the capability to do that. But where I'm going is let's separate the reasons first. Now, what are the
Okay.
typical reasons? And I'll tell you my own position on it, but let me give you let's lay out the context. What are the reasons why men would desire their women not to work? Number
Mm-hmm.
one, there may be sincere, genuine men who think that their kind of workload is so heavy and
Mm.
it compensates them commensurately. In other words, the money they make justifies their, I won't use the word, so there is really no need for you to work. There's no need for
Mm.
two of us to work. I mean, I have a very busy, crazy job. I make a lot of money, and
Mm.
then there's no point for you to work. I will sort you out. So that's one reason. And you know, one of
Okay.
those people, it just feels, take care of the kids for us. Like it's a partnership. Let me
It's an
do the front.
agreement.
Let me do the front end. You do the back end. And for some women, they say, okay, it's not a bad idea. I'm indifferent to that, right?
Okay.
Your vision is my vision. We're working together to achieve the same goal. The company you're working for or whatever, everything is in our name. Like there's this whole, if it's a church, your prosperity is my prosperity. So we're kind
Mm.
of working together. That's number one reason. Number
Okay.
two reason, man, is our parents, our dad's old school model, which is
Mm.
an egoistic thing. And I come from the north. Well, not called north, but it's just a case of me and my wife cannot be competing.
Mm.
So that's their own position. So the motive is wrong, and they kill
Yeah.
any desire to achieve that. Or I mean, any in all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Men, ego, and all.
Yeah.
That's second reason. Now, some people on this call, and they would have better critical thinking on this subject and will give us 3 or 4 reasons beyond the one I've given. I've given one,
Yeah.
which is an
Yeah.
agreement. The second one
Yeah.
is
The old school.
old school. Now, there's a third category,
Mm.
and that third category, and Pastor, I'm going to be very open.
Please do.
I'm not my own.
You're
I'm not a pastor.
unreligious.
I know I'm not, and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be proud of it or because I'm trying to
No.
say the role is not important. No, but I'm saying that because, just like Paul said, when he was in his struggles, he told me I have struggles too, and I may not share everything, but I will be open enough to say my weaknesses. Otherwise, I won't sleep at night this night. So let me make sure I confess my sins. I confess my sins one to another. But where I'm going is there's a third category. The third
Okay.
category is a category of what I call misalignment. And that
Mm.
misalignment is I've received, calls from 2, 3 guys. I mean, well, at least 2 people that I know that reached out to me. And well, one was direct, one was indirect. So I did a project for a very gentleman, very brilliant. In fact, he's more brilliant than I am, if you know. And I tell him it's not even so his wife, well, I was doing a project and his wife was working in that organization. So his wife now came to me after she listened to my training session. She now came and started, talking to me about her challenges and how she was trying to explain to her husband. So as she was talking, the advice I started to give her started
Hmm.
to sound like the same one her husband was telling her. But it was
Mm.
some kind of misalignment because you know how it is now. Now there's another one. This one wasn't as serious as this first one. That's another senior person, or pastor, everything. His
Yeah.
own case is just the case of the wife saying, "This is my recommendation." She was telling him that this is my recommendation on how I think you guys should pursue this and that, or there and that. And then he wasn't really paying attention. So there is that issue of, I don't know how to put it, when it's not that you're not supportive, but the approach, to the
Mm.
whole conversation. So for instance, you made the point, you said, I bring up this business idea or whatever, and then your husband says, you know, and this is where I begin my confessions, you know. So the problem with being married to a consultant is that before your ideas drop from the sky,
Yeah.
they have already been, and that is dangerous because Paul said, My bird marks off. So there is a reality around that. So there's the third group is misalignment, where it's not so much of whether or not, it's just you guys are not on the same you're not in agreement on the approach to the work or the dream or the
So
way
it's
to go
not
about
it's
it.
not that
So that now sometimes comes out to like lack of support. But it's like,
okay.
it's not wrapped in emotion and delivered in. So because of that, it's
No,
looked
but
very,
that's different
looks too objective.
from a spouse who outrightly tells the other person, you cannot do this. It's
So Pastor
different.
Mori, I agree with you. You're right. It's outside the set. But what I'm saying is that you kind of brought it up in your way, and that's why I said there's a third group. And maybe I should have said that it's not on the same level. Forgive me. It's not on the same level. You know, when it's set, you say spoon, fork, and ruler. They're not in the same set. So in this case, the third point is not in the same set. But the point is, I call it misalignment. So for me, let's just take it. I have two reasons. The first reason I gave and the second reason. The third one, maybe we'll discuss it since it's not in the set. So for me, man, based on these reasons, the second reason, honestly, I'll tell you for free. There's no need to beat around the bush. I think it's unfair and it doesn't make sense. You're killing potential just because you make all the money in the world or you feel you can make all the money in the world. It's not right. Then number two, God is actually our source. This issue of husbands are the providers, right? I believe in it, but if you check it principally, and I'm not trying to be a form man of God, but man shall not live by bread, by every word that proceeded from the mouth of God. You know what that means? It means you don't move to, people move, people, migrate, people do, what are the other things people do? People change jobs, people take up opportunities in the name of bread. You understand? Now, that is different, but if you're moving at the word, at the instance of God, God says, change the job, change location. If that's what you live by, and that's what will make you prosperous. So for any man who thinks that just because of opportunity or because of location, that is the reason why they're successful, and he can now carry that brand and say, I'm the provider. God is just having mercy on you. It's probably your wife's prayers because you're not the provider. God is. Now, am I saying men should be lazy? Of course not. I mean, I'm not lazy. But I think there's also, I just want to chip that on his side because people don't go, I'm the provider. No, God is the provider. And sometimes he can provide through the wife and through the man. You understand? Which is a different story for different day. We don't get it. So back to the point, just to tie up this point, to answer your initial question. The second group is outrightly unacceptable. And if the woman wants to work, please, with all due respect, or wants to do anything, I believe there's no reason beyond, all that stuff. The first group is, for the first group, I think for that one, the issue is, it's not an issue. We had an agreement. And one pastor, I don't want to mention his name here, but he's our, I won't call it spiritual, and his own case was an agreement. But did he compensate for it? Yes. He gives her allowances and all that because you are taking care of the kids, it's a full-time job and so on. And he was wealthy enough to support that. And that was the case. So to conclude my point, man, number two, I don't support, I don't endorse.
Out of it.
And for singles, it's conversations you need to have. Even though they say people change, they can come. But honestly, Pastor, I don't know any forward-thinking, mobile upward person at this stage. Maybe the other one is not support minded that will tell his wife not to work in this economy and say sit at home and take care of it. I honestly don't know. Not in UK, not in Nigeria. But if you find and they're on this group, no problem. They should come and tune in and listen. Let me stop there.
So back to your first point, Emmanuel.
Yes,
very valid point. It's an agreement in the sense that let's assume that the children are young, and they still need care. They need someone has to make the sacrifice, to be at home and just, watch over the children. So it's an agreement. It's a conversation that they both had. But you said something now about someone that we both know, that the wife made that, it was even the wife that came that day after with 1 month of working after their first child and said, I can't do this. I can't leave my child, even though they had someone taking care of the child for them. I'm going to resign and I'm going to face these children. And like you said, he made sure that what she was being paid at work, he was paying her. So that's the part I want to come to, Emmanuel. Some men will say, sit at home, take care of the children. And then if we talk about compensation, they begin to say, but they are your children. why should I? So I want us to have that conversation, Emmanuel. Is it okay? Some men feel, why should I be giving you money? I don't want to call it paying, because you actually cannot pay me for taking care of our children, but some sort of support. Because another reason why some women would not willingly take this option of, let me stay now, let me hold back on my dreams, let me face the children. The reason why a lot of women will not take that particular option is because they know that they would become slaves of that man for that period, in the sense that for everything they need, they have to beg for it. For everything they need, up to sanitary pad, they have to beg for it. The man will feel, okay, I've given you money for the house, I've given you money for the children's school fees. What more do you need? So please, because this man you mentioned, we both know him. He was giving her the moment, of course, God bless him, he was till those children got to a certain age. So it wasn't a case of that, this is house money, collect. This is your own money. Over to you, Emmanuel.
So, Pastor
Because some
Maureen,
men will tell me that, why will I pay you for taking care of our children?
All right. So, Pastor Maureen, I will tell you something, right? You know, I'm going to be very vulnerable. I'm going to be very vulnerable in this conversation. And some of the things you've mentioned, I'm outrightly guilty, and I'll tell you the truth. I'm not, you know, you didn't invite people that will come and I will share my thought, and the idea is it will help someone. But
yeah,
I'll tell you where I'm guilty, right? And I'm not doing that because maybe my wife is watching or anything. But I was going to do it anyway. So, but I'll say this, right? So the man we're talking about was actually very wealthy, and he was wealthy before he got married, or rather, just hammered before he got married, and never looked back. Now, personally, I don't support the notion that she shouldn't be compensating. But let me use an illustration to make my point. So I'm in a partnership now in business.
Yeah.
And the way partnership works, there are different types of partnerships. But the partnership model we operate is all for one for all. What does that mean? And it means because of the way we started and where we started from. I mean, I don't want to get into our humble days in the partnership, but we had really, really humble days. And what that meant is, it's the same pot in a sense. So compensation is around, of course, there are some variations based on expertise, which boards you are sitting on. Okay, you're on this board, you're on this board of this company. So, but in terms of the base, it's almost like both of us have come to an agreement that we're equally contributing the same level of labor. So we own the thing together.
Yeah.
Now that's stage one. I think the fundamental problem, Pastor Moore, is on the issue of ownership. If, for instance, the husband is an entrepreneur, I mean, this man we're talking about, this is a case of everything happens to the man. There's not going to be a story of some brothers came. That's not the case. But when you have cases where ownership is in question, the properties of the man are in the man's name, the car is in his name, everything is in his name, and then there's a problem. So there's a gentleman that we invited, elderly. He came for our open mic last month, and we discussed this same issue. And what he said was they kind of had an agreement, and his wife took on a less aggressive career path, considering the fact that she came from a home where her father could have hooked her up with the best paying jobs. But what happened is she took a lecturer job so that she can have time for the kids. He went on his own career and advancement up onto executive director level in a tier one bank, where, of course, even your payout, you don't need to work for the rest of your life and your children too. So at the end of the day, what he said was this. He said all the properties are in the name of both of them, or some in his wife's name. Nothing he owns that is not co-shared. So when he brought that revelation, it explained that is how. Now, why is this point important? It's important because it's tied to my next point, which is where I fall guilty.
Yeah.
If the husband is building, and this is the part, it's very important, it's very tricky. When you are building, because tomorrow you people have built something. There's a phase of building where it looks like you're not giving anything.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult sacrifice because, man, I wish I could say this. There are two bank chiefs. I will say it is in his book. Off the tarmac, or what did he call it? Ike and all these other guys. Of course, they were bank chiefs. Access Bank and so on. But what happened was they mortgaged their houses. And you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like you go out, start a bank, and you mortgage your house. Now, when you are building, depending on the career, but if you took a regular, you big job, your salary is like, by the time you pay your bills, you still have like times 3 of that money. It's easy. If you're now not giving, it's a different thing. But when you are building, everything you own and you have is in the business. So it's usually difficult. And I may be speaking for, I'm not making excuses for not giving as much as I should have. Not at all. Not an excuse. But that phase of building will look as if you're not doing much, right? Because you are building a business and not you. Now, what happens is once you cross the line, that same business will start taking. I know some bank chief, Pastor Morin, their dividend is 2 billion. It's sitting in the bank, like dividend, not salary that they pay, not school fees that they send your children to Harvard and all that. Just dividend, take 2 billion. Now that will say, are you working for money? Blah, blah, blah. No, I get it because it's all about the money. It's not about the money. But I think where I want to balance it is that there is a gestation period.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can take a while, 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know. That gestation period, once you cross it, the woman can have anything she wants.
But
and
Emmanuel,
can
I chip in here?
Please, yes, go ahead.
In that gestation period, what do you think, or what would you suggest are practical ways that you can show to support in terms of, I acknowledge you. I see, because there are so many women who have told this line of, you pursue your dream, you go and do the work, I will stay, I will look for small business to do. But with that sacrifice that woman is making, they are still not receiving enough support, encouragement from their spouses.
That's more.
And I understand they are going through gestation period. And most times these women are not asking for too much. And I think an understanding wife would know that you are going through a period. But some wives are on this particular, in this particular situation, and still the support is not there. The encouragement, I see what you are doing. I see what you are doing. I see that I see the sacrifice you're making is not there. You are a guy, Emmanuel. Tell us your gestation period. What are the little things, practical things that guys can begin to do to show that they acknowledge and they respect that this woman is making a sacrifice?
So, First Maureen, I mean, you're putting me in a very hot seat because some of the things you are saying, and I'm very frank.
You agreed to come on this conversation.
I never say the Holy Spirit come and convict us of. You understand? So, First Maureen, I'll answer it with a question.
Okay.
Now, I know some other people, I call them mentors, who went through that same cycle. Now, in their own case, you know what they did? And I know this will sound, they handed over the Excel sheet of the house. And as the money hits his account, if there are any first line obligations, mortgage, whatever, he pulls that out. But the rest, he says, Madam, take. You decide what happens. In fact, you give me my own money.
Wow.
Now, if that happens and the woman accepts it, is it possible that she will see for herself whether or not he's sincere or he's not sincere? First question. So my recommendation is, but there's a problem of sincerity. For all some of these stories you tell, you can tell that there are fundamental flaws in the system. You know what fundamental flaw is? Fundamental flaw is that there's no genuineness. So if you look at Joseph, when Joseph was going through prison and all that, there was a fundamental sincerity. He wasn't guilty of the things he went through. He didn't have to be a slave. He didn't have to be a prisoner. So in this case, when you have cases where the husband is taking from that money and is living lavish lives, he's taking care of people outside, or the money is not finished on the house. Sometimes they tell you the reason why I'm not giving you is because I don't have. It's not that I'm not giving you because I don't want to give you. So that's why I said, can the first recommendation be transparency? And I'm not talking about a story of myself now. I'm talking about an example. Wait, man. I'm talking about an example of someone I know. Personal to me, who is now a big boy. But I know when they were going through hell, what happened was he said, Madam, take the X. So, and the wife now took over the process. And honestly, things turned around. So he started organizing how to pay the debts. blah, blah, blah. And over time, she controlled. So it's not a case of you're not giving me. You are seeing it for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's just, I'm saying that because there's a group like that. But there's a second group as well, which unfortunately it's bad, right? And I say it's bad because it is really, it's not palatable. Where you said even basic things the person has to ask for. So that one is accurate. Now, doesn't mean the husband is a great financial manager. No, sometimes men are not really. There are very few men that are very. I don't belong to the category of men that are financial fantastic. My own style is just top line, pam, pam, pam. Especially people that make money from services, where you show up for something and your honorarium is like, those kind of people, they don't have respect for small. They see the money that I'm the working money. So once I open my mouth, they'll pay the money. But that's wrong. That's not good. So what they need is, my first recommendation is open transparency. Let the wife see the numbers. Let her create her own money from that money. And let her cut the excesses and redirect them.
But that is subject to trust. That is subject to genuineness already as a foundation in the marriage.
No, I mean, for me, that's why I said those things are fundamental, because if people still have those fundamental issues, then it's not even the issue of money and career. Every other thing will be affected. So that's my first recommendation. Now, if the person cannot do that, then that means the woman does, because for me, I can trust my wife to do that. I can hand over everything, even my ATM card, like take everything, just hold it. I can go to sleep for me. So based on that, I'm willing to run that model as my own way of compensating. So, madam, what I would even say is, this is the challenge. If you can save anything in there, it's your own. Right? Because this is the money. And you will see I will say, alert has come. Take, can you see? That's the salary. Literally. Because I'm on a salary. Yes, you may say, that's funny. I am on a salary. So that's part of the process of building. But that's, so that's my recommendation number one. But more the other ones where, for me, it's fundamental. And maybe we can talk about what to do with fundamental issues, because if those trust issues are there, you can't trust your wife to hand over all these things to her. Then, of course, there may be issues of fight here and there, maybe an expense line item. It looks, where this come from? But those ones too, I don't want to get into that story now. Story for another day. So I don't know if that helps, but that's just one recommendation I have. Otherwise, any other person that cannot do that, and in other words, why can't you give me? What is your reason? Are you stingy? Is it that you don't have enough? And like I said, is it the building? But if the man is now rich, he has, like, we paid all the bills, because don't forget that the wife may not, maybe coming behind. So have you paid? Okay, what is left? You now present what is left transparently, and she sees that okay, no, I can manage it better next time, and we'll have savings. No problem, manage it better, and let's pay ourselves from it, including myself. So you pay me. So I think that's my own humble recommendation on one of the approaches to solve that problem.
And I think that is profound. Transparency is key. And
hand over the Excel to her. Yeah, I call it Excel. Hand over the spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet is a fantastic model, and like you said, she feels like a part owner, even though she's not exactly, the one going out there, but she feels like we're in this together, because, in as much as you're going out there, I'm in here, I'm also working. Mine might not be bringing in money, but I'm creating the environment for you to prosper. Because if you come home and the home is hot, you will not have the right thinking. You won't be able to think straight to be able to even be productive in whatever it is you're doing. So it's a two-way thing, honestly. And I think that's something that we really need to establish here. And I think I want to hope that, like you said, in this age and time, 2022, I don't think there are men who their wives would, make the sacrifice to stay at home, who would come home and then feel like, what have you been doing all day? I really hope that we don't have such men like that anymore, except maybe you are still in the village. But if you are you are here, educated, you know that when a woman stays at home to raise children is a lot of work.
Yes, it is. It
so
is.
The issue of compensation.
A few times I did assignment, I almost ran mad.
I can imagine. Then when my kids were still younger, and I used to tell my husband, maybe whenever the kids had assignments, and I'll be like, go and meet your daddy. You know what he used to say? He said, no, let them enter secondary school. I can do mathematics for them when they're secondary school. But true to his word, honestly, when they enter secondary school, He made himself available. That one, physics, chemistry, English, maths, he will help them. In fact, we had a board at home, and he will help them to solve their questions. But when they were younger, the mother must have the grace to be able to answer, the question. But let's, someone asked the question here, Emmanuel. The person said, why is the role not reversed? If the wife has a higher chance when compared with her husband, will the husband be willing to make that sacrifice? Now, this happens a lot in the UK and in America. So the wife, a practical, typical example, family relocates, wife comes in to study, to work as a nurse, and the husband would have to take care of the children, pending the time he gets a job. So it does happen a lot. So if the roles were reversed, Emmanuel, would you still give the same advice?
So there's some stereotype issues here we have to deal with. And before I answer the stereotypes, I would say, to be frank with you, Ma, the cases are even going to rise because for some reason God has heard the cry of women over the years, and He has reversed the situation that women can mostly and do well and better than their husbands. I'll just digress to say something for somebody. One of the things that women bring to the table, especially if you marry a very good wife, is she gives you legitimacy. If I go for a meeting like this and they just look at me and they're sizing me up, this guy. But I go and I say, this is my wife. Okay, okay, we didn't really like you before, but because of the person who's seen, we feel like you have for you to have gotten this woman is not stupid. So clearly, you are likely not stupid too. So that is for somebody. And that's important, just to put aside. But here's where I'm going. So I think it's going to get even probably the gap is going to widen. More women are going to get more successful roles. I am a recruiter, not directly, but through the clients I work with. I'm into this human capital thing. Women are way more reliable. They are more trustworthy. They are more responsible. They are more loyal. They're more diligent. You give them an assignment. Of course, now there are some newbies that I don't understand, but prior to that, they're amazing people. So most employers prefer women. Now, of course, there are also the flip side where some people say for certain roles they can't give women, especially if they have children or they are yet to marry or they're no, I don't want to give examples. Executive assistants, those things, work late. That's fine. But in terms of, so what I'm going at is that this case is going to continue to perpetrate itself. It's going to. So for me, the answer is it's the same measure of maturity, right? And that's why your marriage, the foundation of marriage is important, because if it's built on trust and loyalty, why not? I mean, I can tell you for free, there was a time that, my wife stepped in, and there was some, I don't know, windfall here and there, and we needed to make some moves. And hey, she funded the bill, and I was proud and happy to just fall in. So I wasn't feeling like, I mean, madam, please. And for me, I was trying to say that, it's you, I don't have a problem if you have to be the one to do it. But here's the problem, the stereotypes. And Pastor Maureen, this is the question for you. The women will say, it is my money. Now, in the other side, it was our money. But now it is my money.
So the money you make is our money.
Yes.
So the money I make is my money.
It's the same way Toluwani lends you money and then she wants to collect it back. And you're like, Toluwani, what is the problem? Are you like, how can you come and ask me who took care of you? So it's for that one. I don't know whether it's a question, but we have cases where women, at that point, they start to. But I've seen a few cases where the women say, no, you can have it all. And I have a friend like that, he's in the US, and he told me point blank. But I mean, when he was tired, of course, he took care of his wife very well. I mean, bought her a car, So when he was tired, he said, madam, now you go run the bill. Of course, he's also a very hardworking guy. And the madam really, she rose to the occasion. So my recommendation is the same thing. It depends on the values on which the marriage is built. There's transparency. And then it should be, and I think it's also for me, I think it's a thing of, It's a thing of pride because it means that the woman is saying that, see, I have a stake in this. And for me, I'm sorry to say this, but I feel like the woman should see it as an opportunity to
Yeah.
say, you know, the way they say it's more blessed to give than to receive. That means I was in a position to step in, and it's on record
Yeah.
that I rose to the occasion. For me, I feel it's a good thing, it's a positive. But if the man has a problem with it, then
I don't think the issue here is so some men might have a problem with that. We dealt with that with Pastor Deji when he came, you know, and he really said some profound thing. But I'm narrowing it down to, will the men be willing to provide the parental support?
Well,
the taking care of the house.
Okay.
That, you know, that's what we are saying now. Because, you know, there's this mindset, you know, and I want to hear from you, Emmanuel, that when it comes to taking care of the house, unfortunately, even a lot of religious people have quoted that scripture out of context, where they say a wise woman builds a home. Like it's majorly her responsibility to raise the children. You even see, you know, captions like superwoman. I've seen a particular caption of a woman that had like 12 hands. And I'm like, no, this is not me. I don't have 12 hands. I have 2.
Dragon.
I'm telling you, one hand was mopping, the other hand was cleaning, another was carrying a baby, another was doing this. And I know that these are images that we've come to somehow accept as okay. And when you now see a man, I don't know if you've seen this TikTok video, you know, it was going on. I know Emmanuel doesn't see TikTok. I doubt it if you watch TikTok. But
I watch it through Instagram. The ones that
the Instagram reel. Okay. If you have kids, when your children become teenagers, you probably be watching TikTok. Wow. If they still have it by then. Anyway, there was a particular one that was trending. And the lady, so the husband and wife, the husband is cooking, the wife is sitting, watching something. And then there's a knock on the door and his mother-in-law. And then she gets up. And then before you know it, she quickly collects something from the husband. The husband must sit down and she's now the one cooking, because mother-in-law must not catch her that she's the one sitting down, watching movie, and husband is cooking. That's even, you know, another one. But I'm just saying that there's been this mindset that the kitchen is the wife, the home, everything home, raising children, caring for them, you know, bathing the children, all these things. But what if, like we said, the roles were reversed and the woman is the one? Will the men, will they see less of themselves doing these things? I believe they shouldn't, but I want to hear from you as a guy. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, thank you, Ma. So the way I answered the first question, I will lay out all the different scenarios and the context. So the quick answer is this, man. The values of the man, the level of maturity. Now, if it's where you have to step in because, you know, situation has calls for it, why not? I mean, that's the most responsible thing to do, right? It's service, and you have to rise to the occasion because it came to that. But now, let me now throw my own situation on the ground, because I didn't come here to come and sugarcoat my own challenges. In my own case, frankly speaking, and it has been a sore area, I struggle with domestic stuff because in my mind, and I don't want to say some things on this air, but in my mind, I'm like, I mean, God help me. I can't have an office assistant. I can't have this and that. Okay, sorry about that. Can you still hear me?
Nepa.
Okay, I'm streaming. I can't have all that, you know, and then come home and and I need to now, you know. Now for me, you'd be like, no, I get the picture. The picture is that it's not really about your glamour and it's the gesture to show support. Sorry, my this thing will come back.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
And it took me a while to get that, right? That it's really about you. But in my own mind, I'm thinking, but that's some man I was there. I mean, with all the responsibilities, most people like us, I mean, God has helped. God is helping us. But sometimes when you have work that is like 6 months ahead of you, you know, you don't, any small time you have, you're either recovering or you're not recovering, you're reloading, because as you just step out of, you know the way how you step out and then the winter, the shoulders hits you. So as I'm sitting down now, I'm sure by the time I leave now, the phone calls that are just, oh yeah, pam, pam, pam. And they're like that. So when you now have to I'm speaking for myself, so that it's not as if it's more Emmanuel washes the plate. So, but of course, there are some things you do with all joy because it's once in a lifetime, like bath the kids. You do that proudly, okay? Even though sometimes you didn't do it, you grumbled a bit sometimes. You get it, but you perfected it. But that's my own excuse, and it may not be perfect, but I've put my own cards on the table. But where I'm going is, if the case was reversed, same concept of maturity and same concept of understanding, which is you have to rise to the occasion. If the man is not going to do all that, so today I taught a critical thinking class, and what I asked them was, because I was trying to explain something, and for there we got to the point. I said, I even asked them, I said, so where is it in the Bible that the woman is supposed to be the one doing the cooking and all that? Wait, I don't know if it's in the Bible. I can't think of it. Okay, I know Sarah ran in and prepared a meal. Yeah, I think for
Sarah
me,
did, but Abraham did first. He was the one that killed the goats. Abi the ram. Abi what was it?
Exactly.
She
So
just
what
baked
has
the
happened?
bread.
Yeah. So what has happened over time? And remember, Adam was one tending the garden. That means Adam was one washing his plates. He was one doing everything. If there were plates, so until Eve came. So maybe you can help me, Pastor Mark, because I have to check through the Bible again. I don't think it's culture over time. Now, but there's some kind of culture that, and I don't know what psychologists to call it, culture that has come to like norm. It's like, how do I describe it? There's some things that a woman would do that you say this is very unladylike, or what a man would do that's ungentleman. You can imagine me carrying a bag and walking on, part walking. You say no, it's not even in the Bible, but that's not acceptable, right? So for me, those are the areas where we may now say, okay, women are a bit more responsive, they're more sensitive, and those qualities has attracted them to do the job better. Now there are some men that have their man's hand is even rough. You bat a child, you can go and scratch the child, or injure the child. So those are the issues. Or when you have
that one is just excuse. When you put your rough hand inside water, it should not be rough again.
Okay, thank you. You're clearing my excuses. But I'm not saying that's my excuse. My hands are soft. But where I'm going is that I think these stereotypes or these traditions over time have spilled. But the simple answer is still based on. I think it's not a question at all. Now, if it's abroad, you guys have to survive, and it will be a shame. So you have to rise to the occasion when you have to pay bills. But if it's Nigeria, and maybe the man is going through a rough patch or something like that, then I think he ought to rise. And the man will refuse. That this is my message to him, to refuse. That means you don't have a job, your wife is one making, and you're not taking care of the house. I think you're going to put yourself under a problem where you may not even get the job in the first place because you are showing God your heart in that sense. I'm not swearing for anyone. I'm just saying that I feel so that I don't go and because you're saying something, but you don't know you're guilty indirectly. But the point is, I think that is for me the issue. It's appropriate for the man to rise up to the occasion. I hope I answered that.
There's something I wanted to say. In to kind of like view this whole thing from another angle. So if a man finds himself in that situation, most times he would find it easy to outsource help. The option would come quickly to outsource help. But if the roles were switched, and I know cases like that, where the woman is the one at home with the children and the man is working and the woman is asking to outsource help, sometimes it's usually a no. Do you agree with me, Emmanuel?
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a very good context. I wasn't familiar with that, but now that I've heard it, that means it exists. Because in my own case, I'm in a hurry to outsource anything. Like, in fact, I'm talking to you now. I'm negotiating for something, but let me not go there. Let me not say for me. So I am always in a hurry to. And for me, I'm feeling like no. Even for my mother's time, I used to tell her that, Madam, this, I need time to think, not to wash plates. I know that's a joke, but so. I didn't know Bill Gates would say the same thing too. But back to the point, man. I think for me that's selfish. I think that is, and we men can be selfish. I must confess. And we're selfish from two standpoints. We're selfish from the way we look at people in government, and we say they're insensitive, they're selfish. There's a position you get as a man that you don't really pay attention to. You don't like I said the first day I did assignment. I was like, this is not easy. Like it took me a while to. I was explaining to her, she wasn't getting. I didn't even understand the assignment. You understand? So I was like, "What does this mean?" Like I was like, "This question is dumb. Like they didn't ask me properly." So
I'm
I
sure
don't
it was
know.
I'm sure it was qualitative analysis or
Yeah,
something.
it's so funny. Like I like this question doesn't make sense, but Emmanuel just collected it. Pam, 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 pam. She has finished. I'm like, whoa, okay. So that is what is self. So the selfishness is from the point of when you're sitting in government office, you're moving your convoy, so you don't really see it. So when they now ask for help, you now say, oh, what do you
Mm,
need help for? I mean, so why do you
mm,
need? That means you want to pay for two people. You want to pay for. So I think that is what
mm.
I'm putting up. But for me, thankfully, I am always excited to outsource help. In fact, I've had my way, cook, chef, cleaner, like everybody. And in the
Yeah,
country of 200 million people unemployed, what are you waiting for? Create
yeah.
jobs, outsource.
Okay.
My own point.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes, man.
Thank you for that, because I know that a few men, would say no. I know someone who actually had to resign because of that.
Oh.
And these things have a way of just building resentment, like I said. I think
But
we're
my
in
friend, can we
partnership.
can we balance the reason when they say help? Are you referring to help like from a nanny or help from like a cook, cleaner? Because the nanny one, the men may be trying to protect their children. That may be their reason.
Okay, so a nanny is a no-no.
No, I'm not saying for no, not for me. I mean, my wife would not even want a nanny to take care of her children. So that one, and I support that fully to the best. So she wants to be at the forefront. It's important. So I mean, in that sense,
Yeah,
but the nannies can help with bathing and a few other things. But when it now comes to deeper issues, she draws the line. That's her own
yeah,
style. But
yeah.
for men, so for the men, maybe that I'm just trying to balance. Maybe that's their reason why they don't want to outsource help. Because I know some cases, some people have two nannies, three, one for each child. I have one this morning. I was chatting him on something. And I said, well, he has two already, so and you can imagine that. So I mean, I don't really know what to say about that, but and it's very
But
common in Lagos.
yeah, what I would suggest, and I think is just, which will bring me to my other question. But before the other question, someone is asking a question here, and I don't want to,
Okay, man.
she's saying that in light of handing over the spreadsheet, talking about transparency, like you said, how do we balance trust, priorities, and financial personalities? That is the spender and the saver. Do you
Now let
understand
me
the
say this.
question?
I heard that very well. I heard that very
Okay.
well.
All right.
If I mean, it's a complicated question because it has multiple layers of scenario of complexity. So, for instance, if the wife is the one that is the spender, the nonchalant one, no prioritization, doesn't know how to negotiate, then that's when and it's a good point she brought up because I didn't factor that in. The reason why the man will not want to hand over the spreadsheet is because
Yeah.
the woman will go and buy should go and buy Rolls Royce and not buy Toyota Corolla, if you understand what I mean. So I think that is a very important point, and that may make it complicated to hand over the spreadsheet. So maybe
Mm,
sometimes the spreadsheet should stay with the man, if
mm.
that is the case, because
If
there's some
he's
men that
the,
are
yeah,
they're more disciplined. So I think for me is the ability to recognize each other's strengths, and I give example with the partnership. I mean, we also have learned to respect each other's strengths.
yeah,
So and that helps a lot. So if
yeah,
couples can agree on those strengths, fine. But if they cannot agree on those strengths, Pastor Mori, then I can't help them, or I can't help. I mean, I
yeah,
can't help them. Not like I'm trying to help anyone, but you get my
yeah.
point.
I think
So I think
transparency also starts from each both parties understanding their strengths
correct.
and their
Tra-
weaknesses. That's where
That's correct.
transparency starts from, whereby we
That's
are
correct.
transparent enough to say, okay, madam, you can hold the money, you know me,
That's correct.
or oga, you. Transparency is not just about who holds the money, really. It's just
Correct.
about what money do we even have? What are we using the money for? Do we know what we're using it for or anything? And at the same time, it also doesn't mean, and I need to chip this in, it doesn't mean that some people run joint accounts in terms of not just joint account, physical joint account, but joint account in terms of you can't spend without me knowing.
Mm,
It works for some people, fine.
that's correct.
Some people, I just need to know what we have there. If you are going to, you shouldn't call me at every time. I want to buy ice cream for the children. Can I buy it? I want to buy a bag for myself. Can I buy it? Of course, there are some major investments where you won't just want to dip money into the account and spend anyhow. And I think also, and I'm sure you're a financial consultant, Emmanuel, you'd also agree with me that you also get to a point where you have your individual at some point, like you said, when you pass through the gestation period and God has so blessed you, let your wife have an account that you're just dumping money inside. Whatever it is she's using it for, it's not your business.
Amen. Yes.
Because some men will want to know to the thorough cover. The tomato, how much was it? Was it not 2,000 last week? Today now it's 5,000. Do you understand? And I think, like you said, is the level. Sometimes is permit me to say, could be poverty mentality for some people. Because when the Lord really blesses you at some level, honestly, you will not be scrutinizing what she used it for, whether she bought powder today or she did not buy powder yesterday. So I think there's a level you get to whereby each person, you have your individual, whatever it is, and you use it for whatever it is you want to. You really don't need my permission or his permission over that. I will subscribe to that, in terms of managing your resources. There's an amount where, we all know what is coming in and certain things are sorted, and we all have that, mutual agreement and understanding. Yes, Emmanuel, please.
So just 1 minute. There's a story that one of my friends told me. He went for premarital counseling, and it's a very powerful story that if anybody listening could help. So he said they locked them up in a room, him and his fiancée, and the counselor, professional counselor, just said, write down everything you need to survive in a month. That's all he told them. Just said, write it down, take your time. He went away and came back. So they finished all their calculation. This is what we need every month to survive. He now said, listen, if this money is not sitting in the bank every day, every month, right? If this money is not sitting in the bank every month, that's the beginning of your problem. So that for me is important. I think that baseline is where they can agree. So if you agree on that baseline, if you sit down and agree, then everything after that baseline, you can now decide on profit sharing.
Yeah.
You're following me, man?
Yeah.
So profit sharing can now start from that. So for me, to advise those people, if the husband is willing to negotiate on that, you can say, hey, this is it. But my personal, I must say something here. One of the challenges around these issues is, I know you guys are experts in communication and all that, but I also think it happens in the workplace. And, it's in the workplace that explains it to me better. Intentions and actions can be largely mismatched. And that mismatching, leads to a level of suspicion and distrust and what have you, disappointment that makes you look as if it's not it. It's a very difficult position for some men, and I want to speak for them because, well, I may be biased, but what it means is sometimes it's very, very difficult. The way my wife would tell me that, okay, do you think it's really, she doesn't tell me this, but I just imagine the first day I did assignment until I entered her shoes and I did the assignment for the children. I didn't even understand that. So you do the assignment, then you now get them ready for school. Even the bathing process, the whole drama about putting soap on their face and they start screaming, all that activity, right? And some of them think I was really, really lazy. No, I'm not lazy, right? But all that activity it shows that there's a measure of dexterity, the whole competence around it.
Yeah.
Now, but sometimes, and I'm not trying to, play a pity card here, our own reality. Sometimes you sit in traffic for like 3 hours. And then when you get there, the client is talking story, and then you now get an email from a colleague that is just like, where do you start from? And then you now pack all that. That reality is another different world.
Yeah.
So sometimes those things could affect your outcomes, and those may now look as if you're not sincere. But I'm trying to just bail out anyone that sometimes I think what I want to suggest is a bit more of fill their shoes, everybody's shoes. So I talked about my own feeling doing the assignments and all that, and that's not easy. Like I told you, I failed woefully. There was a time that they were in a hurry to. It was in the night. We discovered that they had some assignments. So I took one. She took one. My wife finished the other assignment. I was still faffing out. She said, "Please bring it." So now collected the other one and now finished it. So you can imagine that's how I look. But step into my own ring now. Just take one complicated call from a client. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just learning to respect each other and really glorify that. Because the truth is this: If you don't have someone to raise the kids, and those kids, after all the money you've made, grow up and become problems, it will carry all your money away. That's why they were telling me that. And this is a very open conversation, and I'm going out of script here. One of my teachers came to me and said, "That Emmanuel, you have just 2 girls. Don't you want to have a boy? I just want a boy." I said, so that the boy can carry your name. And I said, "What do you mean carry my name?" And I said, "God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't want to carry my name." So I'm like, and I said, "No." I said, "The things I will do, my name will remain forever by the grace of God." But more importantly, and I said, "I don't think I want to reap what I sowed." So I said, "I don't want. I just felt like, no, girls will take care of me." But that's my own opinion. I may be naive, right? I may be naive. Don't mind me. I'm just throwing jokes out there. But my point is, I think just being able to fill each other's shoes, I think is what is important.
Yeah, so, very true. Very true.
And for me, that may save something. So communication is important. So when you feel the other person, you now say, "Oh, so this is what the person was been saying." It really does help. Yeah. And if that can be done, that would be helpful.
Yeah, this point you just made is so profound and it's so true. Filling each other's shoes. One person's role is not more valuable or more important or more stressful than the other. It might be sometimes, really, like you said, but I think when we quantify it with respect to what we're delivering, we're doing the same thing as it were in terms of, okay, you're at home all day, taking care of the children, sorting out this. And some alongside that are still running their own businesses. Some women are still trying to sort out something online business. Some are into baking, cooking, catering. At the same time, they're managing the children and the husband too as well. Now, let me bring quickly to one question. So we've talked about the women who face the children, face the home, and then the husband. What about cases where the husband even insists that the wife must work?
And the wife doesn't want to work?
The wife wants to work, but not the work that the husband wants.
I see.
So some women are business oriented. They are not career. They're not career. They don't have aspiration to become CEO, sit with board of directors and all of that, office, but they're business oriented. Some are highly creative, but the husband believes that, no, this is how you should be an intellectual person. You should go to an office, aspire to become the branch manager. What advice do you have for such women?
So, let me start by confessing my own sins.
The things you've been confessing today, Emmanuel.
What does the Bible say of people that come and talk as if they know it, but they don't know it? They call them hypocrites, right? So I don't want to come and be a hypocrite, right? So for whoever has the capacity to bear my sins, let me say that. And I don't mean sins in literal sense of it.
I know.
But here's the thing, right? So my own case, right, is more around. Let me start with my own. My own was not. I wasn't insisting on what you should do, but I was insisting on what you should not do. And what I was trying to explain was that I said that when you take on laborious jobs, I call them laborious jobs, like trading. So you go and gather a big warehouse, you load it with stuff. At the end of the day, that whole warehouse, your profit margin is just 200,000 naira. But you can sit down and write one document and you're paid 500,000 naira. So I'm always of the opinion that why not pursue the more exclusive skills, right, that are in demand that will separate you. So my own is that if you are open-minded to my recommendation. So there were cases where I was guilty of not showing support for trade-like activities or buy and sell stuff. And I kind of said, yes, in retrospect, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just gone ahead and do it. But I was like, there's limited capital here. And if I'm going to be the investor, then I want
to be... You were being a consultant, Emmanuel.
I was going to be screwed. I agree. So that point, so for sometimes someone will be like, it doesn't really matter. It's just the support. Well, 300K later to find out, I don't know. I don't know whether that is what that was, because what will happen is that, like, if the thing goes south, but you're a consultant, how did you have advice? So I just do the math in my head. And then some other businesses, as they bring it, I said, this one we already know now, fish farm, or this one, I'm like, nah, this one, it's not a it's a value of dead bones. Because I mean, they are just businesses don't survive this. So there is that oversabi that may be seen as unsupportive, but for me, it may be a case of it was advised. So I would say that just to answer that, because I'm starting my own part, that generally speaking, nobody should determine. Let people do what they want to do. The only question for me where I felt guilty was if I had to be an investor, then well, the question is not investor. If you have to be a supporter, but there's another principle I operate on, which may be too strict because I may be speaking for some, sometimes because there was a particular help series that was speaking to me. So this help series is doing some wonders. So you may not be, because that one I said okay, no problem, But here's where I'm going. Right, Postmore. The idea is okay, I was trying to say that it has to do with the show of support, irrespective of what is there. But here's the part: if it's business, when they say don't do business with family and all, if it's business demands a measure of disconnected emotion. If it's not business, it's a different case. But if it's truly business, I have some people that have mentored me, and I began to see that these are Christians. We pray, we hold hands, but the moment is business, the way they switch, the way they will buzz you, and you know why? People have always complained. I said, no, why are they behaving like this? But you know what I tell them? I say, no, that's why we're going to them for help, because they are strict. If you are giving us interest rates that are not reliable, then we're going to be. That's why they are rich, and we're going to them because they are treated like a business. So for me, for the spouses, I want to move to your question, but to the spouses, and I'm speaking for myself, and what was behind my own motive for not funding some of those ideas was because I felt like if you want me to treat like an investor, I can advise you properly, but the advice will not sound palatable. But of course, in retrospect, it was not really about the money; it was about the support, and you learned that later on. That it doesn't really matter. But the question is, you want to go and, like I told you, 300K later.
Money inside.
But that aside, right? To answer your question around.
Could it also be could it also be, Emmanuel, that probably familiarity will have a role to play in either receiving the counsel or giving the counsel? So for example, now let's say this is your wife. You know her, you've known her for say 15 years. You know her strengths, you know her weaknesses. And then she comes with this, and then you feel, madam, you don't know how to ask people for small money that they owe you. If you do this business, this thing will not. So could it also be some form of familiarity that will, and maybe just the manner of communication? Or if I'm to advise, rather than outrightly tell, because sometimes women are overly emotional and they won't see it as
I think I have
their consultant husband advising them. They'll see it as their husband criticizing what they want to do. So my own advice in that kind of thing would be, steer her to someone else. That's your support. Let me recommend a friend. Let me talk to a friend. Talk to this person. Emmanuel, several times, Pastor Dele has said, go and talk to Emmanuel. Talk to Emmanuel. Talk to Emmanuel. Not like he couldn't give the advice, but sometimes familiarity will becloud our judgment or becloud how we receive the criticism, because we already feel like, oh, is it because you know me? How do you know that I cannot do it?
That's profound, Pastor Moore. That's profound. You asked the question, you've answered it. So it's very profound point you made. The truth is yes, and that's a very important factor on the receiving and on the giving. But let me speak for quickly. On the giving side, you've answered the question when you said the practical steps is to recluse yourself from that process, and which is what you say: go and speak to the expert. But on the giving side, and you've said it before, especially for pastors' wives, they mean, in the case of it's not my husband, what is the problem? So there's now the element of, can you really receive a word from this man? Because he can give you a word too. Or, so there's that case of if the husband is saying, and that's why I started my story when I said some friends of mine have come and said they've been telling their wives some things or vice versa, but they are not listening. It was vice versa, though, please. Wife to attend husband
Yeah.
until somebody else came and
Yeah.
provided context. So what I would like to say there is this, and this is not to sound spiritual, but which I mean we should be spiritual, is that there's a prayer you need to pray for wherever help is going to come from, and that help will come from the wisdom. I mean, I know some ideas that my wife has brought to the table that has really changed our lives, and every time she does that, I just see that radical, shift. There's one other one that happened recently. She just suggested it, and bim, bim, bim. The next thing, I just rode on it quickly. So I think that agreement is what the devil is fighting, because obviously where two or three agree concerning something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that ability to agree. So it's to remove the things that hinder agreement.
The
So if the third party, for instance,
emotional,
yes, if the third party says this is the recommendation, then like you say, of the century, that's fine. But there's another part, which is the discerning ability. I don't know how that works. To say, let me listen to him, let me try his own. If it doesn't work, but you know what happens, and it's in business. You don't try his own, you don't do your own. You guys reach a deadlock, nobody moves forward. That's usually, a case that could go wrong. So that for me is an example of some sort of implication for not agreeing on the approach. So to answer your question, familiarity has a place, and you've given one recommendation, and I've given another one, which is okay. You know what? I don't agree with you, but because I want to move forward, let me do.
Yeah.
And it's a trick we've used in partnership. So you know what we say, even though it's very expensive. So we say we want to make a decision, maybe want to make an investment, a huge investment. And we're like, what do we do? I disagree, you disagree. We say, okay, no, on this time, I don't agree with you, but I will endorse it. So if it doesn't work, we'll come back and do my own. But you know what happens? If we both decide not to do it, we lose, because we don't try to find out if it work, and we don't end up doing it, so we don't get the benefit. Because if you had worked, we'll move forward. So it's a very delicate position, and I think it will help in marriage too.
And I think agreement, partnership, and supporting each other. And I think also, this is not just for husbands or wives alone, but we should try not to make a clone of ourselves in our spouses, whereby, because I'm intellectual, you should be intellectual. Not necessarily, like you said. Yeah. So sometimes if what she wants to do isn't exactly in line with what you think, and sometimes it's just an image in our minds, or I've already painted an image of how I want my husband to look like, or I've painted an image of how I want my wife to look like. As for some men probably work in offices, they interact with women, who are corporately dressed, corporately have all the corporate slangs and everything. And then their wives are at home, maybe she's a fashion designer or something. I think it's just being able to appreciate and understand, not comparing or looking at her and feeling like, oh, why are you not wearing corporate wear and all of that? So I think one just needs to understand the uniqueness of each person and what each person is capable of doing, and support them. And like you said, you can support either directly or you support by providing support. So sometimes,
sorry, but let me just push this. Just to add, right, to help some of these men. You see, comedy looked like a joke before, but if you see the way our comedians look, they look more prestigious. We want to take pictures with them, but they are just gesticulators. They're like jokers. You think about it, and that's what they do for a living. MC, musicians. Those were things that we used to, alajota type of stuff. Dance for money or whatever. But now there is. So what I want to advise women is that they also need to know how to communicate the glamorous side of what they can do, because every profession has a glamorous side. It's called packaging. When you think about the musicians, Davido and all the other guys that we like to say, we are wow. These guys are they sing for money. Do you know what it is to sing for money? Those guys that come and beat drum. That's really what they are. But the difference is that one is packaged as an A-list celebrity, and one is running around you in a party beating. So if your business looks like you're running around beating drum, because most times these so-called professions that husbands look down, they pay way more. Way more. Right? Look at the one you're talking about, nursing now. In Nigeria, you look at the nurse and be pushing her aside. It's because she's in Nigeria. She goes to do it abroad, she will pay you to sit at home. and you understand what I'm saying? So I think it's looking for the glamorous side. In my own side, I confessed that I was guilty of, shooting down an idea, and my own was not really about the glamour. It was around the profit and loss. I was like, all of that warehouse, for instance, could be just 200,000-300,000 naira profit margin. And that's after you've gone to, you've gone around Lagos, you've run around, you've called, that's what you now collect. Versus when you just sit down, do a few things, put a few concept notes and push, and then you end that. It may take a while, but it's better. So I think packaging is also important in helping. So the woman should show the husband a picture of what people in that path are, or she should look for mentors who can help him understand that these things can be glamorous.
Okay, so my final question, we've done an hour 30 minutes, and it feels like we've not even my final question. I really wish we could continue, but because of time. So there is this category of people, and I want you to speak as a man to the women now. So the man actually feels that the wife is lazy. Genuinely, truly. So she uses the whole, I'm taking care of children, I'm taking care of the house. What happened to Emmanuel? Hey, Emmanuel, come back. I did not say you should go. Wow, what an interesting conversation. What an interesting conversation. Nana, you said something. I'm looking for what you said. You said many boys were brought up not to be involved with domestic work. But I think in this present generation, we should raise our children, especially boys, to be balanced because the world is changing. Totally agree with you. The truth is, gone were those days in our parents' time where it was just statutory that the mothers didn't even think about working, as it were. It was just once you get married, your role is sit at home, start producing the children, start nursing them, take care of the home. The man is the lion of the tribe of his house or whatever it is, and all of that. But then things are changing now. Things are changing now in the sense that, Emmanuel is back. Things are changing now. Women are working, men are working. And so in marriages, you should be able to sit down and find the middle ground, find a balance. I was reading out a comment, Emmanuel, before you came about, someone said that when you were talking about how you didn't really like so much of domestic work, she was like, yeah, it's true, it's okay, but then let's raise both our girls and our boys to be balanced. And I believe that that's what we're doing. We're going beyond, in those days, it was so amazing, Emmanuel. If I mention this guy's name, you will know him. It's one of my sons. The first time he fried plantain was in my house.
Wow.
And his girlfriend was there with me. And I said to him, I cannot let you marry like this. So it's not possible. And then he was like, his mom never allowed him into the kitchen. And his sister confirmed it. He has two sisters. They confirmed it that he doesn't enter the kitchen. He didn't know how to. He said this was his first time frying plantain. And I addressed him right in front of his fiancé. The fiancé was there with him in my kitchen in Maryland.
I agree.
So I just needed to push that in. Yes, I know that the world is advancing. My children are always shouting, "Mommy, there's dishwasher. Why are you making us wash? How many plates are you washing that you're shouting dishwasher? Come on, enter that sink and wash the plates for me." But why are we washing this plate? There's dishwasher. I understand. I don't have a problem with using dishwasher. Honestly, there's no big deal. What is advancing? Before it was your hand, you used to wash your uniforms and wash your clothes. Now there's washing machine. But what I'm saying is there's a balance to it. We should get the boys involved. We should begin to change the narrative. And I believe that some parents have started doing that anyway, whereby you get them involved in the kitchen. It might not be washing plates. It might not be, okay, even if you wash the plates, someone will load the dishwasher. I mean, if we wash the clothes, someone will load the clothes into the washing machine. You get, we're preparing lunch. Someone should blend the pepper. Someone should chop the onions. It shouldn't be just the girls. So I'm just lending voice to what she said, that as we are raising our children, both boys and girls, let the boys know how to cook. Let the boys know how to wash their bathrooms. Let the boys know how to sweep. Let them know how to clean. Let them know how. There's no girls are the only ones that cook. Boys are the only ones that wash cars. My daughters and my son back in Nigeria, they will wash car. PD will say, "Oh yeah, Saturday night, go and wash the cars." All of you. It's not only the boys that will wash car. All the ladies that lived in my house, they can testify to this. They all knew how to wash car, plus men and women who wash car. So, I'm just saying that let's have this balanced life, whereby we raise these children to be able to. So you never know when you find yourself in a situation where you just have to do it. Would you say, "I never knew how to do it"? It's like sewing button on your shirt. Gone were the days in secondary school that home economics was for girls alone. No, it shouldn't be. Why should a man not know how to sew button on his shirt? Why shouldn't he know how to sew button on his shirt? They are life skills. You should know how to sew button on your shirt. Recently, I started learning how to shape hair as, going to the barber in these countries. Knowing how to shape your hair now is life skill. And my son was trying to teach me, and we're trying to help. By the time we spoiled the hairline small, we will get it. So I'm telling you, we will just have to keep learning and dancing around it. But that was just by the way. Thank you, Nene, for that contribution. Both girls and boys need to be raised to live a balanced life, to be able to survive life wherever they find themselves. So back to my last question. I was talking about the husband. What do you say to that kind? How do you advise that kind of husband to approach that kind of thing? And then what do you have to say to that kind of woman, whereby she's not even willing? This one is not even okay. The man has even provided help, as in outsourced some things, but all she just wants to do is Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, chit chat. Talk to this one on the phone for 2 hours, talk to that one on the phone for 4 hours. Let us tie it up here. Emmanuel, what do you have to say?
So you yourself, you've acknowledged that the woman is lazy. I initially thought it was not confirmed.
No. This one confirmed. The woman is lazy.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. So, Pastor Morin, I think it's a fundamental flaw. And when I use the word fundamental, it's not English language only I'm speaking. I'm trying to say that the foundation has a problem. So, this is borderline deliverance, right? Because the lady needs help. And because, now they have to seek help, really, because, that's stage one. And so it sounds very casual because she's destroying value. So she's wasting time and destroying value in that sense. So I think for me, that's one. But let me say this, right? In terms of how he needs to manage himself, honestly, he has to, and this is the other part. And I always used to talk to couples. There's something called, this is my own theory now. Based on my, so we've been married for a while. So what is your own theory? By the way, Pastor Morin, I'll be 10 years this year.
FYI. Hey, you're getting old, though.
I'm not saying she clapped.
It is marriage business.
Even me, I didn't believe it. But anyway, let me go.
When did I know you that you were still hopping around taxis in Abuja? Now you are claiming that you are 10 years in marriage.
But just pray for me that this gestation period should just, close at this 10 years. Anyway, but here's the thing. Apart from the fact that he has to exhibit a bit of fruit of the spirit, I wanted to explain something. Now, there is something called the seed of repentance. Or does your spouse have the ability to, they say, godly sorrow leads to repentance. Does your spouse have the ability to have a conversation and acknowledge that there's a problem? Now, if your spouse does not have that ability, it's an ability, man. The way you call me offline and say, "Man, come. I noticed the way you spoke to your wife, blah, blah. I'm just giving an example. And I have the ability to receive it, to internalize it, and to act on it. At least, but if she doesn't have that ability, Pastor Maureen, then it's not a prayer point. Because that's one of the things that I've learned also about marriage. That some couples or some spouses, they don't have the ability to receive instruction. It's an ability, or I mean, what is an ability? I don't know. It's a position of the heart. So if the wife lacks it, Pastor Maureen, because there's some things that my wife is telling me now, that I'm telling her that I have the ability, and it's just a matter of time. You see the results. You know, it's not that I don't have it. You know, it's not that the results are taking too long, but I have the ability. I'm just constrained by factors that are beyond my control, my work schedule, my all that. But it's a matter of time. You will practice it. And another thing that I could have done more, but my seed is planted in a lot of funds and the whole schedule. Same thing, right? But so where I'm going, if she doesn't have that ability to receive that instruction or to acknowledge that, then honestly, they need to plant that ability. And sometimes that plant ability comes from external help, because it means the person does not have the ability to save themselves. And I think that is what we mean by grace. You know, when they talk about men that cannot control themselves, or women that cannot control themselves, or anybody who does things that I know promiscuous or whatever, what they don't realize is, and this is what I always tell people who are graced, and they always make it look as if I'm making excuses for people. I'm saying that it's like a man sinking in quicksand. If he doesn't have the ability or the willingness to cry for help, then he'll sink. But some men don't want to be saved. So, or they're ignorant of it, or whatever. So they're like, I'm enjoying the lifestyle. I don't want to be saved. So don't come and save me. It's like someone saying that, I can save you from this. No, don't come and save me. You know, you heard those cases where somebody says, I'm a civil servant and I'm in accounts department and I don't want a promotion because where I'm sitting, I'm enjoying my position. So I think that is where, and there may be a case where the wife doesn't want to be saved. I mean, I don't want help. I'm enjoying this lifestyle of just faffing around and enjoying. Now, what else can the man do? I've rambled a bit. Another way is the man can switch off the light. What does that mean? The man can turn on the heat a little, and I hope the wife can listen to her parents or some counselor or some third party. There must be someone that the wife can listen to, but if there's none, you can turn on the heat. Then you have her attention. I mean, even God does it to us. He just switches off some things in our lives and, okay, I have your attention now. You sit down and say, God, I'm listening to you. Not a very good place to be. We pray that God will help us to hear so that doesn't have to call attention. But for that person, I think my advice for him is he can get the wife's attention by switching off some privileges. It will cost fight, but at that point, since he has attention, maybe she will just even hear what he's about to say, and then they can do that. There are other tricks and hacks here and there in terms of behavior, and I won't call it playing puzzles and games. And you know what? If you do 2 hours of Netflix, I'll give you 2K. Or if you do 2 hours of reading book, if you do 2 hours of reading, so instead of 6 hours, if you do 2 hours of Netflix, I'll give you 3K. All those kind of things, that can also
and
be
this one is spouse to spouse. So.
And I'm telling you how you need to help somebody. Yes, but that's what I told you. If she doesn't have the ability, then you may have to make those gimmicks. You play those gimmicks. And of course, all of it with long suffering. And perseverance.
Yes,
so that's my humble opinion.
Hit the nail on the head, and that is ability to receive instruction, honestly. And you also mentioned that possibly involving a third party, but that is also dicey, because she can begin to see it as, okay, so now you've gone to be telling everybody that I'm lazy. But I think majorly also is communication, how you communicate this to the woman. Sometimes the man can be very frustrated, and then you begin to hear the man say things out of frustration, sometimes, or begin to react, or begin to say some things, but it's not really that thing. Is the whole, how at times you are reacting, and it's not that thing you're reacting. There are deeper reasons why you're reacting. So possibly you've just looked at it. Maybe she innocently asked you, I want to buy this. Of course, I want to buy this now. Will now bring out the hair yesterday as I sat down. Throughout, you were just on Facebook, pressing your phone, doing this, that one. Even your child was crying. You did not hear this one and that one. There are cases like that, honestly, Emmanuel. So that's why I didn't want it to sound like the women are not, the women are exonerated. Some women are outrightly lazy. Some women are just like laid back. Some women just and then some women have it in their mind. You are the provider. Keep providing it. you know, and then such women, you find them, it wasn't only in our mother's days. You find some women, they will inflate the money. Tomato is 2,000, they'll put 5,000, you know, and all those things. And everything boils down to foundation, fundamental issues, where there's no trust, there's no understanding that this is a partnership. From the very first thing you said, Emmanuel, understanding that we are working together, there's transparency, there's trust. Transparency and all these things, you know, would find expression when there's trust, when there's understanding of why we are together and that we are working towards a goal together. We're not trying to, someone is not trying to outshine the other. This is partnership. Whatever progress I make rubs off on you. Whatever progress you make rubs off on me. At the end of the day, we're making it out together, and our children will be fruits, you know, it will bear fruits of the things that, you know, we're doing together. Wow, Emmanuel, we've had such a, someone is saying, what if the man is the lazy one? They don't want it to go. Emmanuel, they want it to go.
But more, let me put balance to perspective. When I say third party, I was saying with respect to she lacks the ability. This one,
yes, I know. Yeah.
And but you also cannot be the judge to define lack of ability, because you may be wrong. She may actually have the ability, but maybe it's that misalignment thing I talked about. So yes, so that they don't go and say I'm endorsing third parties. I know some people don't like that. And my wife, for instance, doesn't like that third party conversation, among other things. Yeah, no problem.
I know, but
and I respect that.
Also, third party is not necessarily reporting. Third party is seeking help, and I think the way the third party is brought in also matters. So if you bring in a third party and you say, my wife has a problem, come and help her solve her problem. But if you bring in a third party and you're like, see, we have a problem, we need help. You take ownership, and that's what headship is all about. You take ownership. You are covering. We take ownership to this thing. We have become one. If you are lazy, it is affecting me, and so I need to take ownership. And you know, so I think it's okay. And when I say third party, the place of marriage counselor, the place of possibly, you know, spiritual authority. But sometimes when the cases become because like I said, these things build resentment that are not voiced out. And over the years, it begins to, you know, fester. And then before you know it, it gets out of hand. And one day when the guy just explodes, you're wondering like, what happened? You won't realize that it has been a build-up, you know, over the years. So quickly, Emmanuel, can you answer that question, please?
Now, what if the man
is the one that is a confirmed lazy guy? What do we do? And then we can tie this up.
It's probably, unfortunately, he's the head, so that may be difficult. But it's a similar scenario, because he's not only going to be lazy, he's probably going to have an ego. So that makes it complicated. You understand? It's like nobody. So that one is that one is tough. You know, that one need prayer. That one need prayer. Women that lose conferences and so on to help with that situation. But I want to say something, right? Does the man have the ability to receive instruction, to see the point? Because the way the point is communicated is also important. But I wanted to make this point. This may help. Pastor Mori, you see,
to receive instruction from who now, Emmanuel? The wife?
No, instruction doesn't mean like do and don'ts or commanding. Instruction just means the ability to know that what you are doing is right or wrong.
Who is telling him that what you are doing is wrong?
It has to be, in this case, from the wife, because there are some men that can listen to that and say, I agree with you on this neutral issue, that you are right, you know, acknowledge it. So what I'm saying is, if he's not going to listen,
but you know, most often, then you know, most times the most men would not listen. The ego thing would not let them listen. Would not even want to entertain that conversation.
So, Pastor, let me say something very strong
from their wives.
Let me say something very strong. And Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo was one that said it. If you respect your husband, there's really nothing you cannot get out of him. You can get him to do anything for you. Now, let's put things in perspective, because somebody now said no, but if the husband also respects himself, then he will get the respect that he deserves, isn't it? And that's fair enough. But I will speak from a man's perspective, because you asked me. You see, the reason why it's just a theory in my head. All these strange women, the reason why they like. So I heard it's an analysis in my why they like married men is that married men are trained. So what happens is that all the stuff that their wife has dumped on their head to correct them to that lesson, they may not acknowledge it, has built up
So
in
the
them.
strange woman doesn't have to work again, do any work on the man.
Because the man is coming ready-made, has been sandpapered, all the wrong. So when he comes, he's now treating her in a way that she's like, this is really nice. But she doesn't know that and it's very unfortunate because it's now
it's a case of someone has sowed the seed, somebody else is reaping it.
Yes, but that's not really a good example of. I was just trying to explain something. Where's where I'm really going with that point? The point is not complete. The point is that, Pastor Maureen, if people are sincere and they have the ability, all those things like the transparent and all that, what happens over time is two things happen. If they're sincere, in a scenario when couples are going through a lot of issues like these issues I mentioned, very fundamental issues, whether it's cooking or all these children, if they're sincere, over time, they metamorphosize. And suddenly, and you know this happened with some of my parents, they say that, no, I understand your dad, don't worry. And I'll go somewhere, right? But in a case where they don't have that ability and the seed is not there, the marriage breaks down. And that's when he said unreconcilable differences. So for me, it is agreement on the standards and on the criteria. So if I tell you the reason why I couldn't help you with this is because I felt the business was not a good idea. It wasn't because I didn't want to support you. I felt it would be a loss on our money and our finances. And I wanted to protect our finances. If you believe me on that, we'll be fine. But I will, guess what, Pastor Morin? I will not it in my heart that you were disappointed. And when an opportunity comes, I will swiftly move. Even if I know the money will waste. Because you acknowledge and believed me. Vice versa. If you said the reason why, so let me tell you the truth, Pastor Morin. There's some things that I didn't do too much. Like, for instance, the issue of washing plates. I've now realized that it's not really about whether you have office assistants or you have people you are paying money or you have a salary wage bill that can pay the 100 house help. That's not really the point. The point is that you were there to show that you supported me in washing the plates. Now, when I finally gained that understanding, me on my own, even when there's house help, I wash it. Of course, at that point, it's foolishness. But you get my point, right?
I do, clearly.
I do understand it. So, Pastor Mori, you know why I learned this principle? I learned this principle from a dear best friend. We're bunkmates in secondary school because then I was head boy, so I had my own room. We used to quarrel a lot. Like
you had your own room as the head boy.
I had a whole pot of, like my own table. Of course, like
secondary school, you had your own room.
I had my own room. And I could have
any. Been living the big boy life since, so.
My own fan, everything. It's not easy now. Why do you think all those people were hailing me? All those people there. Anyway, you think it's the head boy?
Oh my God, you were living large.
God helped us. But here's where I'm going. Head boy and dumb prefect. Dumb prefects had their own. But here's where I'm going, boy. This is important. This is important for some couples. It's a phase of evolution. And I'm at that phase now, where a lot of things that my wife was telling me is now loading. So the way I'm now reacting to it, even though she's catching on my sincerity, but yes, the way it's now loading is that don't worry, I get you. But just give me runway to now show you that I get it. You need runway to now show. The question now is that runway cannot be as long as the one it took you to get it in the first place. You understand? So if we're able to come to that agreement, Pastor Maureen, that means even if you don't feel like believing your wife or believing your husband, he says, Madam, I'm not lazy. I'm working on an idea. And when the idea happens, sit down and go, no, because the wife says, no, I promise you, this idea will work, no problem. And then she respectfully says, you know what, I believe you, Baba. You know what, and the guy sees it, and he's sincere. If he's not sincere, it's a different matter. But if he's, and he sees that, this woman actually believes me. Because you know why I'm saying so? I know some men, and I can't go and tell their wives what they're doing because I'm not the one who's going to scatter the marriage. But there's a way they respect their wives inside of their wife. She don't be happy with me. She and there's that remorse of, but she's sincere. And because they are good people, they'll say, I'll work on it, I'll fix it. But with the problem now, if you now don't believe them, or vice versa, honestly, Pastor Morin, that's a deadlock. It's a deadlock, nothing will happen. If both of that my friend example I was giving, after a while, after we passed our stages of quarrel, we never even quarreled again. Like for the rest of our lives, we never quarreled. I mean, this was someone that when we quarrel, it is teacher that will come and separate us. She said, why are you guys not talking to yourself? Like not physical fight, but just that, everything goes wrong. But the point is, after we crossed that line and we had understanding, it was perfect. So I think if the couples can wait through that phase and believe each other, when it sounds like this thing doesn't make sense, this is the reason. I acknowledge. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's called radical transparency and radical belief. But when you're suspicious, they know it's a lie, it's this, it's that on both parties.
Very true. Very true. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Emmanuel. That was so profound. And I'm just going to tie it up there. That thing you said, this thing you said about communication and believing in each other, respecting each other is very critical. What am I saying? The truth is, I have a lot, and I'm sure you can testify to this, couples that the husband will say, and my wife told me, my wife said I shouldn't do that thing, but I did it. And I know so many. We still had a couple that came some weekend ago, and the husband was narrating how he went into this particular business. The wife told him 2-3 times, don't do this thing. This man is not honest. That he went there. So I think the lesson here is, let's learn to learn from each other. Let's learn to listen. Let's learn to listen,
and believe each other.
And believe each other. Because like we said, we are working together. We're not working against each other. So sometimes, yes, our ego, and I'm not talking about men alone now, even the women, our ego will say, no, I believe this thing, I know this thing. Because truly, some women would have seen their husband and will see that business, they are not cut out for business. As in, guy, you've done it the first time, the second time, the third time, see how it's, or maybe a particular business. But the man just believes that this one, that one, then maybe one friend has advised him, this one has advised him. So ultimately, your home, your wife, your husband is your partner. You are working together. You're aiming for the same thing. You're not competing against each other. You're not working against each other. And so even as the wife, when you are making your contribution, have it at the back of your mind. The end result is going to benefit both of us. The husband too, before you say no, or the wife, before you say no, understand that, okay, how does this thing impact on our life as a family, as a couple? Because at the end of the day, we are working to aim at the same thing. And that thing is this thing you said is so important. Just the same thing we said at the beginning with respect to valuing what each person does, whether you're staying at home taking care of the children or you're going to work. We are both trying to ensure that the marriage works. We are both trying to ensure that the family is fine. We're both trying to cover all our ends and ensure that, we do the things that we ought to do, the way that we're supposed to do it. Honestly, we've spent a lot of time, and I really enjoyed our conversation so much today. I think you're the one I've spent the longest time with, and I'm not surprised.
Wow.
All my
I'm humbled.
all my guests, and thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you, for the opportunity.
I'm just seeing your message.
Confess my sins.
Each other's intent. Yes, I'm just seeing your message now. Exactly. Believing each other's intent. That is so profound. I mean, I picked a whole lot of things from what you've said today, from this conversation. The comments, in fact, I'm reading the comments and they're just saying thank you. My counsel to any one listening now, couple that might be going through that rough patch, that lack of support, that lack of coming together, agreeing together. We cannot underestimate the power of prayer. One. Number two, we cannot underestimate the power of seeking counsel. If you need to seek counsel, and then if you can hear each other out, if you can believe in one another and just know, because, and for the single people here, Emmanuel, you know, if you just say one thing for them, to them rather, the singles on this call, because we've talked a lot about people who are already married. The singles on this call, there are certain things you need to know before you. So we've said a lot about agreement. You said a lot about partnership. We've said a lot about working together, aiming at the same thing. As a single person, Emmanuel, what would you say that they should watch out for, even
Personally,
before they tie the knot?
There are three types of couples. It's my own theory. This is my own theory. Number one, celebrity couples. And when I say celebrity, I'm not talking about real celebrities. I'll explain. Number two, passionate lovers. Number three, friends.
Wow. Celebrity couple, passionate lovers,
are married,
friends.
are people that are married for other people's interests. Oh, it was our parents that introduced us. It was our friends. Oh, we look good together. You guys look too good together. Or don't you think you guys will be good? I mean, my father has been good to you or mother or something. Some arrangements just to please a third party. And it was popular in the old days of old, during wars. You know, the king hands over his daughter to the other king so that he dies his son so that we can protect ourselves. Passionate lovers are those ones who marry for infatuations, lust. Oh, she's so beautiful. She has hair, all the physical features, or they're just intoxicated. Then the third one is friends. In other words, even if they are not in a relationship, or even if they were not married, they will still talk to each other. Now, my recommendation is marry your friend. That's it, simple. So when some of these issues you are dealing with, I mean, if you're friends, it's a different conversation. Easy to believe, easy to. So, but the problem is people fall for that first one. And I'm sorry, man, even pastors sometimes are guilty of creating that first one. When they say, look at your sister, look at this. I mean, you guys are true. And you don't want to disappoint the pastor.
Worship leader marries pastor, youth
pastor. So it's a celebrity wedding as far as I'm concerned. And then for passionate lovers, and now men are guilty of it. They're looking at the woman. There's a guy I can't say it here because he told me point blank, I married my wife because she had big this. And now I'm regretting. He told me years later. I'm like, he said, I'm regretting. I just that's marriage for passion, or for what's that thing called? For infatuation, which is the second group.
Passionate lovers.
Now here's the part. For the women, you have to be able to discern if the man is actually after you for the second reason. Because most times women don't pick that. And because they're innocent sometimes, they don't realize that this guy actually wants me, not because he really likes me or because we're friends. It's because he's admiring. And by the time the man marries, and he's like, okay.
Yeah.
His eyes now clear. That point he switches off and he has moved on.
Wow.
Or if he marries for other reasons. So, and then the woman now is struggling to understand, like, but he didn't marry you because he was your friend. He married you because he has. And honestly, most of us men, I'm going to say, we know we're physically driven. We are, so all those things get into our heads in our decisions to marry people. And then when we now, because you know what, there's a particular one also that I met. That one was telling me that the guy married another lady, and then now started regretting, and because he left her even after she had a baby and all like that, and now wants to go and marry someone else, and then now started regretting that you were my friend. This one I married her for other physical features. So one of the deadliest things that women suffer from is when men marry them for their physical features, and they now realize later on that physical features doesn't make me happy. Then they suddenly switch off, and it now becomes drama. So
what I ordered versus what I got.
Yeah, so marry your friend. I mean, that for me, that will help with a good foundation. Of course, you have to marry a Christian. I'm not going to start. Pastor Mo, you told them already now. I'm not going to. So, friendship is a fundamental issue, and I think
even vice versa, Emmanuel. Some women also marry for looks. So it's not just the men that marry for looks.
I wish them well until their hair starts.
Some women marry for looks. Some women marry for money. Some women marry for comfort. Some women marry for security. But ultimately, like you said, friendship should be at the foundation of your marriage. Friendship, you cannot trade that for anything. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I've known 2 hours with you. Kai, if I'm to pay for this as you're a consultant now,
don't worry,
not going to be entering millions like this.
No. In fact, what I'm doing is I'm actually paying. I'm still paying. I'm paying my own debt. Don't worry.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. God bless you. I truly had a wonderful time. It was so insightful. I'm not disappointed at all. I had looked forward to today, and thank you so much for obliging me,
Thank you for
even at short notice. God
Thank
bless you. And I'm sure I'm
Thank
going
you,
to
ma.
bring you back on these conversations with PMO. So just get
Amen.
ready for me.
Amen. Amen, ma. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
ma.
you.
Please
Thank you.
forgive
Say
all my
thank you.
sins. Thank you, ma.
Your sins are
Thank you, ma.
forgiven. Go and
Thank
sin
you,
no
ma.
more.
Yes, ma. Amen. Amen. Thank you, ma.
Thank you
For
so
lack
much,
of support
Emmanuel.
and so on and so forth. Thank you, ma. Bye-bye, ma.
Go and sin no
Yes,
more.
ma.
You're forgiven.
Thank you. Thank you, ma.
Thank you
Bye-bye,
so
ma.
much, Emmanuel.
Yes,
God
ma.
bless you. Bye. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I don't know what else to say, what else to add. So many thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Marry your friend, exactly. Perfect. Marry your friend, exactly. Thank you so much. They've called you Pastor Emmanuel. Thank you, Pastor Emmanuel. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for everyone that was able to, join this call. I had a wonderful time, very insightful, so much to learn. Please, if you have a friend that probably needed to hear this and wasn't on this call, like I said, it's available on my YouTube, PMO Secret. It's also on my Facebook wall, Maureen Oshumakinde. Let's share this thing. Let people hear, especially the men in your life. To the singles, you've heard it. Marry your friend. Marry your friend. We cannot overemphasize this thing. Marry your friend. Someone will ask, how do I know the person is my friend? Maybe that is what the next speaker will come and talk about next week, Tuesday. So, fingers crossed. Let's see how it goes. And we trust God to have a wonderful time. Thank you so much for joining in this evening. 2 hours. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. I believe it was worth your time. Have a wonderful rest of the week. I see you next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. like clockwork, and I trust that we're going to deal with another conversation as the Lord helps us. God bless you. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening.